Hello everyone, today is January 31st, 2023. My name is Hoshino, and I'm here again with my great friends Patrick and Jedi, who are the representatives of the International Golden Age Group, as well as Terry-san from Japan PFC Official. We're here to do a new interview with Cobra with very good questions about the Goddess Temple project and questions regarding the recent situation update. Without further ado, I will let Terry-san to ask the questions.
You mentioned in the post the return of the spirit that when the black hole from the implants and from the inverted grid on the surface of the planet are removed and go below their critical mass level, the positive spiritual energy from the buddhic plane will again begin to precipitate on mental, astral, and etheric and physical planes on the surface of the planet. What is the relationship between the positive energy and the bubbles of heaven?
Okay, this positive energy is going to come from the galactic central sun and actually also from the cosmic central sun, and will increase first gradually and then exponentially, and will start creating bubbles of heaven, which will first be unnoticeable because they will be so small, but those bubbles will actually be bubbles of pure energy without anomaly, and at some point they will become noticeable.
I see. So that means that positive energy is the source for the bubbles of the heaven.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, next question. So once this positive energy begins to precipitate on all planes of the Earth, does it mean that Buddhic columns will be anchored all around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
No, because human beings will still need to anchor Buddhic columns on the surface of the planet. Active participation of human beings will still be needed to anchor that energy on the planet.
I see. So although the bubbles of heaven are there on the surface of the planet, still we need to take our positive actions for the Buddhic columns.
Yes, and we need to anchor that energy. The energy will not anchor itself. It will be there, but we need to use it and utilize it in a positive way.
I see. Okay, understand. Okay. Now that the pit beneath DARPA is the last stronghold of the dark forces, does it mean that there are no other strongholds of the dark forces that will need to be cleared?
Of course, there are other strongholds. This pit beneath DARPA is the stronghold of the Chimera group, but there are many other Cabal, Illuminati-oriented strongholds on the surface, in the military bases, and other locations. Okay. But those will be cleared when the event happens, the event operations.
So that means when we just finish the clearing of the DARPA and issue, then we probably don't need other clearance of the other dark forces on the surface of the planet before the event.
This DARPA pit is a very powerful stronghold, and when this will be cleared, it will be a huge breakthrough that will just collapse the rule of the Cabal on the surface of the planet.
Great, that's interesting. So thank you very much. The next question, you said that the whole universe will ascend into one giant rainbow fastball of oneness at the end of the next cosmic cycle. Can you specifically explain what it means?
It means that all aspects of the universe will be connected to each other and integrated together into one. Spirit and matter will be integrated. All individual beings will be connected with everybody else and with everything else. So it will be just one huge interconnected creation without separation.
So that means that there is no, for example, the people on the Earth, people on the other planets. So there is no difference.
This is the next cosmic cycle. This is billions of years from now.
Oh,
I think most people cannot even imagine what that means. It will
be
completely different creation.
Okay, great. Can we consciously connect with the tunnel of light now? If so, how can we do that?
Theoretically, that's possible. People who are in pristine nature and when they meditate, they can connect with that already.
Okay, great. So last year, there was a huge escalation between the Chimera group and the light forces on October 15th. Would you be able to describe briefly and what did the Chimera group do on that day?
I cannot go in details, but I would just say that the Chimera group crossed a certain line that should not be crossed, and this triggered an immediate response of the light forces. They took quite a strong risk, and this has paid off, and there was great, significant progress at that point.
I see. Okay. So it means that there was no counterattack from them?
They were so shocked, the dark forces were so shocked that they could not attack for quite some time. They needed some time to regroup, and they did attack, but weeks later. I mean, at that point, they were just in complete shock that something like that is even possible.
Wow.
They were not imagining the light forces will do something like that.
Wow, great. Okay. Next, although there is an anti-Chimera expert team in Andromeda Galaxy, why didn't they participate in the planetary liberation until the situation around the Earth almost went out of control last year?
It is because the light forces which are involved in the liberation of this planet had to go through their own process of gathering enough courage to be so that they will be able to go in partnership with the Andromedan team, because those people are really courageous and they have no fear, and there needs to be a certain process. Light forces individuals who are working on the liberation have to clear their traumas and their situation to the point where they could match the Andromedan team.
I see. So that means that Andromeda people at that time were more courageous than those people in the team.
Yes, of course, more courageous than people who were around the Earth at that time.
Okay, great. Okay, next question. In the Goddess Equator post, you mentioned a place called Cubet el Bedar. Is it the same as Cubet el Hawa? The Dome of the Wind in Egypt?
No.
Oh, it's different. I see. Okay. Is there any famous Asian city near the old Atlantean equator?
I will explain. There were actually many polar shifts in the past and many Atlantean equators. The equator I was mentioning in my last post was the equator which was present on this planet 25,000 years and more before the present time. And then there was a polar shift, and then there was another Atlantean equator, which has been mentioned in my post a few years ago. But this Atlantean equator, which was here until 25,000 years ago, is even more important because it was connected to the motherships of the Galactic Confederation. And this equator does not go through Asia, so there are no famous Asian cities near this equator.
Oh, okay, understood. Okay, the goddess vortices appear to be mainly in European continent. Does it imply that there are more masculine vortices in Asia?
Actually, there are many masculine ley lines in Asia and dragon ley lines, and they will have quite much of a role in the event and after the event, but it's not time to talk about that yet.
I see, but there are also female vortices in Asia?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. You mentioned Poulenc stars at that December update last year. Can you describe the relationship between Poulenc stars and the huge quantum transition that the universe is about to experience?
Okay, Planck stars are one of the possible descriptions of the phenomenon of the black holes. And when the universe goes through this quantum transition, black holes, as we know them, will not exist anymore in the present form because certain laws of physics will change, and that is going to happen in the future at some point. Not very near future, but this is the future of this universe. So the whole situation will, the laws of physics, the physical constants, the way light is transmitted, all those things will change.
Okay, great. Thank you. So at the end of last year, you posted an astrological graph for 2023 in relation to the return of spirit. Would you be able to describe what the graph means?
Okay, that graph describes the position of the planets in the sphere and the aspects they make to each other. And some of those aspects are quite interesting. I will not go into details. I will be publishing, most likely, I don't promise, but most likely I'll publish something about this in the future on my blog when the time is right. There will be some quite interesting astrological configurations during this year. And those who are astrologers might know about some of them, and some of them might be quite decisive in what is going to happen on this planet.
Interesting. Actually, two lines there in the graph were declining toward March, and one line was declining toward May sharply. So does it indicate something?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Okay, great. Okay, have all the implant stations been cleared?
The non-physical implant stations have not been cleared yet.
Okay, all right. So any plans that when they may be cleared?
This is classified information.
Okay, great. Since the beginning of 2023, there have been several big solar flares. Were they expected by the light forces, or were they just a good surprise?
Yes, they were expected because we are going towards the new solar maximum, and of course they were expected.
Okay. Okay, so at the Paris conference, the probability of 25% of the solar maximum in 2025 was mentioned. Is it still the case now, even after a success of the conference, and also the consequence of the series of big solar flares at the beginning of this year?
Okay, yes, the Paris conference was successful, but it cannot influence the solar cycle, of course. This increased activity is a normal part of the solar cycle. We are going towards the maximum. So this is nothing extraordinary at this point.
I see. So that means the probability of 25% still remains.
It stays the same, yes.
Okay, great. Japanese Lightworker Group has successfully planted Chintamani stones at the South Pole at the end of last year. The first Chintamani project to Antarctica was in early 2016, although it was in Antarctica, but not exactly at the South Pole. How would the Chintamani stones at the South Pole influence the geopolitical situation surrounding their liberation?
It does not influence the geopolitical situation. It influences the stability of the planetary axis. It helps the light forces stabilize the Earth axis, as we are expecting a new polar shift very soon. This is very important. And such Chintamani project would be very welcome on the North Pole as well.
Okay, great. Understood. Thank you very much. Okay, and the next question is about the Goddess Temple project. The first one, does the building a Goddess Temple mean that we have to construct a temple from scratch?
It is not necessary. You can use an existing architecture or you can build a new temple, whatever is your guidance.
Okay, great. Is it necessary for a Goddess Temple to have an indoor space?
Yes, of course. It has to be an indoor space protected from the elements.
Oh, I see. So we cannot just have just an outdoor temple.
It has to be inside space protected from the elements.
Okay, great. Do we have to build a Goddess Temple in a private space that we own, or can we just rent indoor space and then modify it for this purpose?
Both options are okay. It just needs to be accessible to the public at least once a week for a few hours.
Okay, great. So which area would the light forces recommend for creating a Goddess Temple? Can it be built in urban areas or suburbs or countryside?
Anywhere you feel guided and anywhere people can have access to it.
Okay, great. Do the light forces have any requirement on the basic size of a Goddess Temple if we measure it by the square meters?
Bigger than 10 square meters, and there is no upper limit.
Okay, great. If the light workers can build the Goddess temples by themselves, would the light forces recommend any architectural style for such project?
You can create a Goddess temple as a dome. You can use ancient architecture as a role model, or you can use your own guidance.
Okay, great. If there is enough land within a private contact zone, can we add a goddess temple in this area?
Yes, if you feel so guided.
Okay, great. When we build a goddess temple, is it necessary or recommendable for us to create a sacred lake nearby?
If you feel so guided.
Okay, great. If a goddess temple only has an indoor space, can we use an indoor fountain alternatively as a sacred lake?
Yes.
Okay, great. When we place an indoor fountain or dig an artificial lake for goddess temple, how can we invoke a female angelic being to anchor the goddess vortex on that water body?
There is a meditation to invoke goddess presence in your body, and you can use that meditation to invoke that goddess presence in that lake as well. This meditation you can find on the Sisterhood of the Rose website.
Okay, great. And so is it acceptable for the light forces if we modify the existing architecture into a temple?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. How can we tell if a goddess temple is in good order according to the standard of the light forces?
If you do it with dedication and purity, it will be okay.
Okay, great. How can we maintain the goddess energy in that temple?
By doing regular meditations, regular activities in the temple, and again, it needs to be open to the general population at least once a week.
Okay, great. Okay. As the event is approaching, do the light forces set any deadline for light workers to create at least one qualified goddess temple on the surface of the planet?
There are no deadlines. People who have guidance to build those temples or to create those temples in existing places will do so according to their own ability, and more creative, better it is, but there are no requirements.
Thank you very much. This is the end of my questions. Then next one from Jedi.
Okay, I will start. Can you please recommend some famous goddess temples around the world so that we, the light workers, can go on a privileged tour and seek inspiration for building our own temples?
Okay, one example is the Temple of Love in Petit Trianon in Versailles, France, and the other example are the goddess temples on Malta. These are two examples which are quite interesting and can be an inspiration for building those temples.
Okay, good choice. Next, if lightworkers manage to build a goddess temple on the surface of the planet, can you provide a training program and help those who feel guided to become goddess priestess and goddess priestesses?
Most likely no.
Okay. Next, a Japan PFC official group recently built a goddess temple in Guangma Prefecture. This temple is open to the general public. It also has an outdoor carpet of rose labyrinth for people to experience one of the healing experience of goddess priestess. Can you explain the purpose of a rose labyrinth and how we can use it correctly?
You can do that by walking through the labyrinth, and that walk through the labyrinth symbolizes your inner journey. And while walking through the labyrinth and coming to the center, you can come to the purpose of your journey. So that can be a spiritual experience that can clarify your connection with your higher self and clarify your path in life.
Oh, good. Next, if a person is lost inside a large-scale rose labyrinth, she returned to its entry point through its previous path?
Yes, that is recommended.
Okay. And how many goddesses at the maximum can we worship in a goddess temple?
As many as you wish.
Okay, good. Do we have to determine the goddess to be worshipped before we build her temple?
You do it according to your own inner guidance.
All right. Can we keep dogs, cats, or other pets in a goddess temple?
The central part of the temple needs to be protected, so that is not a place for dogs, cats, and other pets. But in other locations, there is no problem.
Oh, that's good. If we want to build a goddess Venus temple, can we intentionally emphasize her sexy and gorgeous appearance within her temple?
Yes, of course.
Okay. If lightworkers want to take priority of improving their quality of life, can they first build a permanent altar of goddess Abundantia and then gradually expand it into a goddess temple for anchoring energy of abundance?
Yes, of course, that is a good idea.
All right. There are many Guanyin and Mazu temples in Taiwan. Each grand shrine in Japan is dedicated to the sun goddess Amaterasu. In other countries, there are also many temples where people worship goddess as their main deities. What is the most important difference between these existing temples and the roles which the light forces hope we lightworkers build for this new project?
Okay, those new temples will bring fresh cosmic energy of the goddess to the surface of the planet. And of course, it is also important to spread awareness of the already existing goddess temples from the old ages, which are still working. Some of them are still operational. It is also good for Sister Huda to write articles about those temples, to bring those temples into the awareness of the surface population.
Okay, good. Next, most of the surface population goes to goddess temples in seek of her guidance and blessings instead of experiencing her energy. When we are building a goddess temple, what should we do so that the surface population can let go of their stereotype about a goddess temple and focus on appreciating her qualities?
There are various ways of approaching the goddess presence. It can be through seeking her guidance, through seeking blessings, to experience her energy directly through meditation. All those paths are completely okay.
Okay. Next, what activities would people of advanced ancient Earth civilization, Atlanteans and ancient Egyptians, for example, do at their goddess temples, in addition to praying for her guidance and blessings?
There were trainings, there were initiations, there were sacred union meditations, there was connection with the galactic brotherhood. All those activities were taking place in Atlantis and to a certain degree also in ancient Egypt.
Well, that's great. What festivals and special days can we celebrate or hold anniversaries events in a goddess temple?
There are many holidays which have been celebrated in the past to celebrate the goddess presence, and also the Sisterhood of the Rose can create an article to list all those various festivals that were celebrated throughout the world, pagan festivals. There were festivals connected to Isis, there were festivals connected to other goddesses, and all of them can be portals to connect with the goddess energy.
Okay. Would ancient people intentionally choose a place near a goddess ley line when building a goddess temple?
Yes, a place near a goddess ley line or a goddess vortex.
Okay. Petit Trianon itself is a small castle for Queen Marie Antoinette and Master Saint Germain. Came here several times to instruct goddess mysteries and anchor goddess energy. Did Master Saint Germain turn his castle into a goddess temple suitable for long-term residence?
Yes, and this place has a certain specific purpose after the event, which must not be disclosed yet.
Okay. Do Pleiadians and other positive star civilizations worship goddess?
They are connecting with the goddess presence in their own way.
Okay. Do they worship a particular goddess in common?
Not a personified goddess, but the divine feminine essence which permeates the whole universe.
All right. How do the benevolent galactic beings utilize their goddess temples and spread her energy?
The Galactic Central Race has created a network of goddess temples on many planets that are part of the Galactic Society, and they are part of the Galactic Network of Light.
Okay. It takes a considerable amount of time and money to build a goddess temple. If the Earth's surface is going to be hit by polar shift and a huge tsunami in the coming years, it does not seem to be a worthy investment to build many goddess temples around the world. What is your suggestion for alleviating lightworkers' worries on this matter?
It does not take a lot of money to create a goddess temple. You can just convert one of the rooms in your present location. It can be your apartment or your business place. You can just convert one room into a goddess temple with minimal expenses, decorate it and open it to the public. So it can be done with minimum investment and a very short period of time. And many such temples can create a strong presence that can help the light forces in the coming years.
Okay, good suggestion. Given the fact that many lightworkers do not have enough money and knowledge of construction or interior design, we would like to propose some alternative choices which are quite feasible in the near future. Cobra, we hope you can share your opinions and convey these ideas to the light forces.
Yes, they're listening to this interview, and of course, they are aware of the situation. So people just need to use a little bit of creativity and dedication. All this can be done.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. First of all, some lightworkers have been running their healing centers. Can they modify their healing centers into goddess temples?
Yes, of course, they can turn their whole healing center into a goddess temple, or just dedicate part of their healing center into a goddess temple. It's all open. Everything's possible.
Okay, great. If lightworkers utilize their art studios, galleries, or private museums and provide a long-term goddess-related performance and exhibitions to the surface population, will their artistic space become their goddess temples?
Yes, they can if those activities are permanent. And
Okay,
if that space is dedicated to the goddess, yes, it can become a goddess temple.
Okay, great. If lightworkers dedicated their charitable organizations to a goddess and then provided charitable aid in her name, does their dedication equal building a goddess temple?
No. Building or creating a goddess temple is more important.
Okay, understood. You mentioned at the Paris Ascension Conference that Christian Lobonge, located at the Rue Jean-Jacques Rose, is usually a temple of Hathor in the disguise of a boutique shop. If lightworkers decorate their own shops with many goddess-related artworks and concepts, will their shop become some sort of a goddess temple?
Yes, if there is an activity related to the goddess energy open to the public at least once a week. Just goddess-related art and artwork and decoration is not enough. There needs to be a dedication, and it needs to be open to the public so the energy can spread to the surface population.
Okay, good idea. Many lightworkers make their living with their professional skills, and they also run their studio firms and even small and medium-sized enterprise. Can they introduce goddess art related to their industries into their workshops and turn their office into a goddess temple as much as possible?
Okay, if you introduce arts, this does not make your office a goddess temple, but it does help to bring more goddess energy to the surface of the planet.
Okay. If lightworkers are temporarily capable of building a new goddess temple, can they donate the money to support the restoration of famous ancient goddess temples such as Notre Dame, Parthenon, and the Temple of Hathor?
If they feel so guided, yes, but you need to know that much of that money is lost and given to other activities. It does not reach the end.
Okay. Many online open world games allow players to build their own houses or even towns. If the main purpose of the Goddess Temple project is to spread the Goddess energy and her knowledge, can we build our Goddess Temple in Minecraft, WLMM, or other online games and then invite other players to visit our temples?
This is not so much recommended because we need to build those temples on the physical plane. This artificial reality is something that we need to avoid. Do not spend too much time online on those games. This does not serve the spiritual evolution of humanity.
Oh, yes, understood. Okay, the next part is clarification. What is the relation between bubbles of heaven and quantum insertion portals?
Quantum insertion portals happen when light begins to clear one part of the quantum anomaly, and when enough of those portals open, bubbles of heaven can begin to appear.
Okay, great. Is it possible for us to open a stable quantum insertion portal if we focus our mind and meditate with a clear intent?
It can be stable for a few seconds, long enough. If you can steady your mind without any thoughts for a few seconds, you are able to open a stable quantum insertion portal. But most people have their mind so restless that this is not easy for them to do.
Okay, got it. What is exact relationship between the I am presence, divine masculine, divine feminine, and the inner child?
I am presence is your real presence, your divine self. It has masculine and feminine aspects which are in perfect balance on that level. And inner child is the incarnated soul. It is the part of the I am presence which incarnates on the physical plane.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, the next one. The 11/11 armistice that ended World War I came into force at 11 a.m. Central European time. So peace literally came to Paris at 11/11/11. As the old saying goes, there is no coincidence in the universe. Do you know if there was any occult arrangement for such a time setting?
Yes, of course. This peace treaty was signed on purpose on that day, and the timing at 11 a.m. was also determined on purpose to help activating the positive 11/11/11 portal.
Okay, good. Next, in Unveiled Mysteries, the Magic Presence, Master Saint Germain said the existence of gold in white quartz is its purest formation within the earth at present. What are the physical and the spiritual benefits such a kind of gold have if we carry it or put it around us?
Gold with quartz creates a very powerful and very beneficial combination that connects us with our higher self and strengthens our free will. So it's a very beneficial, very spiritual, and very powerful combination.
Wow, great. Can we get similar effects if we stick a taconized gold foil onto white quartz?
No, it has to be natural gold in quartz.
Okay, got it. Would it be even better if I fill taconized white quartz with taconized gold?
The same as above question.
Okay, got it. Next, both goddess Atagoddess and the goddess Isis come from Sirius star system. Is there any remarkable relationship between them?
Yes, they both come from the same soul family.
Oh, understood. You mentioned that the galactic central sun is the portal of the seventh dimension. What dimension can cosmic central sun access as a portal?
11th dimension.
Wow, 11. Okay. You also mentioned that the cosmic central sun is not a physical sun. So what form of existence does it belong to? Is it plasma, ether, or something even more energetic?
It has a physical form, but this is not the main part. The main part is the huge energy being that inhabits that particular location.
Okay. Is cosmic central sun the singularity of the Big Bang?
No.
Okay. Does cosmic central rays get involved with planetary liberation more actively since the divine intervention activation?
Yes, but they have encountered more obstacles than they expected.
All right. During the Paris Ascension Conference, you mentioned that Boucher hid many goddess mysteries in his paintings. His works created an energy buffer zone in French high society, which prevented France from a complete meltdown during the French Revolution. If most members of the French aristocracy and the rich families did not understand those secrets, how exactly could his works protect the French society of his era?
People did not understand his work on a conscious level, but the energy of his work was influencing their subconscious and aligning it more with the energy of the goddess.
Okay, understood. Just like we look at the flower life, people cannot understand it, but they got the energy from it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. If we do our best to promote the music of Mozart, the painting of Boucher and Vichy Lebrun, plus other goddess-related arts, would such efforts help the surface population adapt to the event and the following big changes?
That is actually a very good idea, and that would help the surface population to align more with the goddess energy to a certain degree, and each such effort helps.
Okay. The last part, future plans. Do the life forces plan to organize any global mass meditation this year?
It is not the highest purpose to answer this question.
Oh, okay. Is it possible for people who ascend in the first collective wave to become students of the galactic or even cosmic central race?
It is possible for those who have this part of their makeup or their destiny or their free will decision, their lifestyle. Yes.
Oh, good news. Speaking about cosmic evolution, will the universe gradually consume and transmute everything in the third and the fourth dimensions, while only the fifth and beyond continue to exist?
Yes, this is actually planned for the end of the next cosmic cycle, billions of years from now.
Okay, understood. All right, this is the ending now. So as we come to the end of this interview, are there any final words you would like to say to all the lightworkers?
Okay, I would like to say that those who are still maintaining and holding the light are very courageous and brave beings and very powerful beings, because there have been so many tests, so many challenges, so much disappointment in the last 2 years that those who are still holding the light are heroes of the new society and victory of the light.
Thank you so much. Victory of light.
Victory of the light. Thank you.
Victory of the light. Thank you. Thank you.